Today we're discussing 5 crops that even a beginner can grow and feel like an expert. Thank you for joining the Best Garden channel on YouTube today. And we're talking about those easy crops that even a beginner can grow and feel like they are an expert. Now, let's start with number 1, the radish. This is such a great crop when you're getting started because it gives you instant gratification. It only takes about 30 days after you've planted these seeds before you get a harvest of radish. Now, radish might not be the most exciting vegetable, and there are some people that don't like it at all. But if you chop it up in your salad, the flavor's not overwhelming. And actually, a radish by itself can be rather enjoyable. I know some people eat it with salt, and actually, there are different varieties of radishes out there with different flavor profiles. So give it a try, and you might just enjoy it. Number 2 on our list is the zucchini. Now, if you've ever known someone who grows zucchini during the summer, they often are giving it away because they have so much of it. So in certain parts of the country where there's a lot of people with home gardens, you'll see, at local churches or whatever, just piles and piles of zucchini stacking up as people bring them in to give away. The reason for this is it is a very prolific crop. It keeps producing new fruits even after you've harvested some, and often more than one at a time are growing on the zucchini plant. So you can get a number of zucchini, very quick harvests, and over a pretty long growing season. Now, I know in my area, one of the big concerns that you do run into in time is bugs coming in, particularly a squash bug. And we will have a video on how to deal with squash bugs later in the season. A squash plant is a pretty quick growing plant. You can obviously get them from already started seedlings at the, any of their big box stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever would have them. Probably even Walmart would have them. But you also can grow from seed, and this isn't a hard crop to grow from seed. So you probably 50 days from transplant, add another 20 from the seed. So they are not frost hardy, so you'll have to go a little bit later into the season when you plant them. Probably 50 degrees as a consistent overnight temperature would be a good time to plant them. Next up is basil. Why is basil such a great crop? Well, for one, it's such an aromatic herb that is used in so many of the things that I think here in our American diet we eat a lot. So, spaghetti sauces, pizza sauces, things like that. And so also just kind of, it's very popular now. Tomato and basil go together very well. And so there's a lot of stuff that has a tomato and basil type of flavor. So that's one of the great things that makes you feel great about growing basil, but it's also a very easy crop to grow. Again, you can start it from a transplant that you would get at the store, or you can grow it from seed. I would recommend doing the seed because it's not so hard and very cheap. But the plants at the store work well too. And even I've seen in my grocery store, they have basil plants kind of in the produce section because people like to take a live plant home to have fresh herbs. But you can just plant that live plant. The other thing that's great about basil is it's so easy to propagate. We actually did a video on how easy it is to propagate basil. So as a beginner gardener, you start a seed for basil, you get a plant, and then you can get a whole bunch of other plants off of it. And the more you cut it, the more you harvest it, the more you get. So basil is definitely a great option that makes you feel like a very successful gardener when you're growing it. Next up, we have our cherry tomatoes. These are such a great thing for your crop because tomatoes that are smaller, the cherry tomatoes, they grow a whole bunch on the plant at the same time. So you can feel like you have a big harvest with a lot of stuff that you're pulling off of it. And the chance of all of your little cherry tomatoes all having something bad with them is very low. So cherry tomato is a way to very quickly feel like a great gardener. The easiest way is from transplants. I like to start from seeds. If you're wanting to really feel that expert feeling, start from seeds. They aren't too hard to grow, but you are going to want to start them a little bit before your frost date and have them grow into plants that are big enough to transplant before you actually put them into your garden. And we're giving away tomato seeds as part of our free seed giveaway right now. So we're going to have videos on how we do all that growing of them as well. So check that out. But tomatoes are a great crop. They're very tasty. You can use them in salads or sauces, or just, I like to just eat them plain. And the final crop that will definitely make you feel like an expert gardener is garlic. Yeah, I know that's kind of surprising, isn't it? Garlic feels like one of those a little bit more complicated, sophisticated, culinary things that very few people would ever grow. And in fairness, there's some truth to that because garlic is pretty cheap at the grocery store. So growing your own isn't really a necessity in some ways, but it'll make you feel pretty good to grow your own garlic. And you can experiment with hardneck and softneck varieties that you cannot get at the grocery store. And some that have very interesting flavor profiles, some that are a little bit more spicy, some that have a sweeter flavor. And you can even grow your own garlic powder. We did, or make your own garlic powder out of the garlic that you grow. We did a video on that. So I think you'll enjoy growing garlic. It is a very easy crop to grow because all you do is you take a clove from the garlic bulb and you plant it in the ground in kind of the late fall. And the next spring, it just comes up on its own. So there's not a whole lot that you have to do. It's still good to keep them watered, to have fertilizer, all of that, but you don't need a lot of that. And while there are some diseases that eventually they may get, if you do it year after year after year in the same area, for the most part, if you put these in the ground, they're going to grow. And the pest problems are a lot less with garlic. They're a very poignant type of crop, so a lot of stuff doesn't really want to mess with it. And yeah, so you'll feel like a rock star. The other thing that's really cool about growing garlic is it makes your garden look really neat too, because it has those stalks and it's pretty easy to get your garlic into nice uniform rows. So if you really want that like authentic gardener look, garlic is a great crop to do that. Another thing that's very rewarding about garlic is you can have a harvest of it in kind of the middle of your season and still have a whole area that you can plant crops in for the latter part of your season. So it's a great crop for kind of opening up space later on in your garden, having already felt that victory and going forward. So we hope you have enjoyed this video about crops that can make you feel like an expert gardener, even in your first year gardening. If it is your first year, we hope that you'll follow this channel. We've done a lot of stuff on here about various stuff that you can grow. So check out some of those videos, and we hope that you do subscribe to the channel. And even if you're an experienced gardener, I'm sure many of you have tried these crops and they're probably staples in your home as they are in mine. So I look forward to growing with you.